Before we get too into this video, I know that I say that this is a preseason guide like throughout the whole entire video, but since, the season just started, let's pretend that this is actually just a regular Season 11 guide. Look, when you gotta teach Big Daddy Denathrius a lesson for stealing all your anime, it takes a lot of time, okay? Now that that's out of the way, let's begin. Welcome to preseason, where Riot took everything we knew and loved about League of Legends and crushed it into little tiny pieces. Now look, I know this is a scary time. Nobody knows what to build and everything is confusing and scary. But don't you fret, people. I am here to pave the way in golden glory and make everything better with my high quality videos. Now who am I, you may ask? Well, I hope most of you already know this, but in case you don't, I am the washed up diamond legend that is Dachnomaniac, anime weeaboo supreme and poppy main superstar with about 870,000 mastery points on our little smacky yordle. And I am here to shed light on everything poppy related with preseason. Now don't you worry, I know we've been quarantined for a long time and the light may hurt your little eyes, but don't worry, I'll hold your hand and sing nani 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 until it all goes away. Just close your eyes and it'll all be over soon. So preseason is here and Riot went ahead and changed every single item in the game. It's time to figure out what to play on our little pop star. I'll be going through every build for Poppy and what's best on her. Trust me, I have a master's degree in League of Legends and anime thighs, so I know what I'm talking about here. Let's start things off with Poppy's best and most glorious position, top lane. Now there's two main builds for Poppy that I always take. Ruins will most likely be the same except in certain situations, which I will explain. Grasp is just the best keystone for Poppy. It gives sustain, more health, more damage, and you can proc it so easily with your passive. And did I mention endless scaling potential? Demolish is up next. It's my personal favorite for top lane. I've tried Shield Bash. The damage is small PP and your shield doesn't really last that long to make good use of it. I'd much rather have a ton of extra gold from plates. Poppy is best early to mid game, so if you can get a big gold lead, you can easily 1v3 most situations. Conditioning is next because Poppy is all about stats, so this gives you extra stats for your stats, and with her W, that's even more stats on top of those stats. Take Second Wind instead if you're up against what we call in the business, the scum of the earth. That's right, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the absolute degenerate, the lowest form of life on the planet. Someone who probably doesn't even own the Iron Giant on Blu-ray. I'm talking about people who play ranged top laners. The Vaynes, Lucians, Teemos. You know, those kinds of people, I guess you can call them people. Anyway, lastly take Revitalize because it's great with Grasp. And your secondary ruins will be Biscuits and Time Warp Tonic. Those are going to be the best for the secondary tree. They just provide you with the best lane sustain to keep you long enough to buy all the goodies you need to pound your enemies into tiny pancakes. Now we get to items. Oh boy, this is where it gets interesting. I feel like tanks kinda got the short end of the stick this preseason. We got some good items, but man, they're all just kinda boring. It's all just, hey, I heard you like being a tank, so have some more tank. We didn't get any fancy dash items or invisibility items. Nope, it's just tank. Maybe that's because tanks were kinda dumb. I mean, they still kinda are dumb, but they're not that bad anymore. So starting out, you'll want to buy either a corrupting potion if you're running the ruins for it. If not, take the classic Doran's Shield start. Now the first item you want to start is going to be the new mythic item. Oh, and did I mention they added item types now? Legendaries are just fully completed items like Thornmail or Infinity Edge, except boots, they don't count. But mythics, those are the big boy items. Everyone can only buy one and they give your other completed legendary items stat bonuses. By far, Poppy's best mythic is Sunfire Aegis. It gives armor, it gives HP, it gives magic resist, and its passive burn damage now stacks up to 5 times each time you damage a champion or epic monster. At max stacks, your autos cause you to explode, dealing the burn damage again. Plus it gives all your other legendary items 5 ability haste, which is like cooldown reduction but more confusing. Boots will be the same. They have a lot of AD, go Steel Caps. They have a lot of magic and CC, go Merc Treads. Next, I prefer building the new Abyssal Mask. It's a good magic resistance item, and the new passive makes any champion you immobilize take 10% more damage from everything. That makes picking off people with a wall stun that much easier. If you don't need any MR, go Thornmail instead. Its passive damage now scales with your armor. Spirit Visage is my next go-to item. It increases your healing as well as shields now, which works great with your passive. Gargoyle Stoneplate will be next. It makes you gain 3% more resistances when hit by a champion, stacking up to 5 times, which synergizes perfectly with conditioning and your W passive, giving you an insane amount of tankiness. Plus, its new active gives you a shield equal to 100% of your bonus HP, which again scales with Spirit Visage and Revitalize. Lastly, round everything off with a Warmogs to give you that late game sustain you need to be the hero your team deserves. Some good alternate items are Force of Nature, Frozen Heart, and Randuin's Omen if the situation calls for it. Now for more of a bruiser build. This is usually only good if you have another tank on your team or if the enemy has no tanks. If not, I suggest always going the first build. Ruins will stay the same and a Corrupting Potion will be your starter. Currently, Eclipse is the mythic you want to rush. I expect it to get nerfed because honestly it's crazy strong. Lots of damage, lethality, 10% Omnivamp, and hitting anyone with 2 separate abilities. Also, deals 6% of their HP, grants you a small shield, and a slight movement buff. It's ridiculous. You can also do this every 8 seconds, so it's gonna win you like every trade ever. In the events it gets nerfed, I would instead build Gore Drinker or Trinity Force for Bruiser Poppy. Also, Divine Sunderer is one of the best items on her. Boots stay the same, but next we want to rush Black Cleaver. It's pretty much the same, but now at max stacks you deal bonus missing health damage. After this, you can build something tanky. Dead Man's is usually a good go-to to give you some durability and movement. Anything good that lets you run down helpless victims and get better stun angles in fights. Finally, round off the build with a Sterix Gauge and maybe a Guardian Angel if you feel so high and mighty your team would be nothing without you if you died. That will complete our Bruiser Poppy build. Now don't get me wrong, I never play this. Poppy's strongest is a tank and that's the way I will always build her. Now let's make that statement completely irrelevant and go to our next build. Here it is, folks. The golden goose of preseason. The big bazonga build. The big bad Poppy bloppy.
The big ol' badonka, the big ol'
full lethality Poppy jungle. If you thought this build was fun, ooh, you're gonna love it now. It's all because of this beautiful new Dusk Blade. Now whenever you get a kill or assist, you turn invisible for 1.5 seconds. That's right, folks. You heard correctly. Invisible Poppy is now a reality. Now imagine this. You're a support sitting bot lane, babysitting your ADC. All is quiet and you're watching them miss every cannon minion. When all of a sudden, you hear tiny footsteps rapidly approaching you. There's a quick blue flash. You turn to your right and witness your ADC smashed flat into a wall. Dead, having been killed by something almost instantly. You don't know what it was. You never saw anything, and you never will. That's the power of new Duskblade Poppy. Ruins for this will always be the same. Electrocute or Dark Harvest, Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collector, and Relentless Hunter, with Triumphant Coup as your secondaries. Start out with a blue smite thingy. I don't know what it's called. It's just gonna be blue smite forever. Yes, and this is another new change I love about jungling, is that once you get your blue or red smite, that's it. Once you smite 5 times, the item is consumed and you permanently get the buff. That means you can start building a lethality straight away and gives you room for an additional item. Okay, so for this build, we rush the aforementioned Duskblade. You can go Prowler's Claw. The little dash is a little situational, but it could put you in the perfect position for a wall stun, if you get the right angle. But I am no Vel'Koz main. I don't have a protractor taped to my screen, so I'm not good at calculating the angles for such plays. After your mythic, we gonna go Moby Boots because the fastest Poppy is the deadliest. Then we go with the Collector. This is the other go-to item for any lethality build because it provides a small execute and more gold. That's the basis of lethality Poppy. You can finish off the build with literally any lethality item. My preferences are Yumu's, Edge of Night, and Umbral Glaive. Now this build used to fall off heavily late game, but I feel it's a lot stronger now. I've still been able to obliterate people even at the 40-minute mark, but keep in mind I wouldn't recommend this in ranked. Maybe from like Iron to Silver it's okay, but let's keep it there. Actually, you know, it's so crazy it just might work. That settles it. I'm gonna get back to Diamond this season just to play lethality Poppy in jungle and change the meta forever. But for actual real Poppy jungle, you can pretty much take the same ruins as lethality Poppy but change the keystone to Predator. Item-wise, any of her top lane builds I mentioned would be more suitable. Usually a bruiser jungle is better for maximum gank efficiency. Now, let's finish off this guide with the hidden gem of Poppy builds, Support Poppy. Now look, I know I've made videos on AP Poppy and Crit Poppy, and those are both, builds. You can pretty much build anything you want on Poppy and it'll be somewhat good. But that's too many builds. I'm just sticking to the big boys for this video, the builds that are viable to help you improve your Poppy gameplay. So Support Poppy, I gotta say, this is really oppressive to play against. But the problem with supports these days is that the strongest supports are the, supports. You notice the small little marks around the word support. That means they're not actually supports. You know the ones. Brand, Zyra, Xerath, Lux, Annie, Swain, Even AP Twitch is a thing for some reason. Against one of these, Poppy support struggles hard, which is why I think I've seen maybe one Poppy support in like the past 2 years, but we Poppy mains must persist and live on despite the opposition. So what do we take on support Poppy? Well, ruin-wise will be our tank Poppy ruins, with Aftershock or Guardian as your keystone, matching the rest with top lane tank Poppy. For our mythic, we're gonna wanna run Chemtech Turbo Drive. It's replaced Righteous Glory, and it's pretty much the same thing, but it now has the Immolate passive from Sunfire. This item is the best for engaging fights and getting the best position to pin down the enemy carry. After boots, everything else is gonna be about protecting your team, because remember, Poppy attack, but she also protect. Build the Knight's Vow next, because it provides some of the best protection for your fragile little AD carry. Next, grab a... Actually, that's a mythic item now. We can't buy it. So let's go with Randuin's Omen. Its active slow now reduces nearby enemies' attack and crit damage for 4 seconds. Grab a Frozen Heart next. I mean, if they have a lot of auto-based champions. Or an Abyssal Mask is just all around good to help you and your carry murder anyone who dare touch Poppy's precious ADC. And now we will finish it off with just a generally good tank item. Take your pick. We got this one. And we got this one. Ooh, this one's really good. And then there's this one. It doesn't matter, they're all good. Poppy excels at being the smallest and most frustrating wall in the game. You can't get around her, you can't jump over her. Honestly, it doesn't make sense, she's like 2 feet tall. But as long as you're keeping the enemy off your carry, then you have mastered support Poppy. And that, my friends, is all I can teach you. My vast knowledge on our favorite hammer-wielding Yordle. I look forward to all the crazy things we're gonna discover in this preseason, and you know there'll be a lot more videos to come, so you know, like and subscribe, and let's get me to 10K subs so I can dress up like a girl, okay? Okay, bye. Mwah.